Ty and Tiny's 21-year-old son, King Harris, just uploaded a video that has taken the internet by storm. Following a period in which he was embroiled in one of the most contentious hip-hop music beefs of the year, rumors began to circulate that he had been jumped, was in the hospital, and might not make a full recovery. This led to the note he left for his followers. Let's begin from the beginning and piece together King Harris's actual fate. You are aware that the Harris family doesn't back down from conflict if you know them. Music. Additionally, if you are familiar with King Harris in particular, you are aware that this young man has been the focus of public attention music since the day of his birth. He is the oldest of T and Tiny's 3 children, which also include their daughter Aries Diana Harris, age 9, and son Major Fant, age 17. Messiah Demani, Deja, and 3 additional children from a prior relationship are all part of it. Zani Pullins, Tiny's ex-partner, is also her mother. This family is big, well-connected, and highly visible. In terms of music, the feud started back in 2006, when both rappers were arguably at the top of their game. Music. The conflict between T.I. and 50 Cent simmered beneath the surface for years. There were occasional barbs, subtle comments made in interviews, and criticism on social media, but nothing ever escalated into a major music dispute. Up until the beginning of 2026, Verzu's conflict served as the spark. On the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, T.I. disclosed that 50 Cent had abruptly withdrawn from an agreed-upon Vuz fight. 50 replied with social media trolling directed against T and his family rather than having a face-to-face conversation, picking up the phone, and resolving the issue behind closed doors. The dominoes started to fall at that point. T.I.'s old videos were reposted. Music, amusing memes appeared, and after 50 uploaded an old video of T.I. online, the situation worsened and there were more memes disparaging the Harris family as a whole. However, it was 50 Cent's unflattering social media post of Tama Tiny Harris during his ongoing feud with her husband that really set off this feud and thrust King Harris into the conflict zone. He labeled the song with a warning to T not to use his name. Everything changed when the internet perceived it as disrespectful or mocking of Tiny. When King Harris saw the post about his mother, he reacted the way a 21-year-old whose mother had just been denigrated on a worldwide platform would. Music. The rising rapper launched an explicit, exploitative tirade against 50 Cent on his Instagram stories on Sunday, February 22. He made reference to Sabrina Jackson, the late mother of Music 50, who died in 1983. He was furious. He made remarks that would come back to haunt him while listening to heated music. King also responded to the post under 50, and T.I. himself jumped into the comments. King put himself squarely in the middle of a family dispute that had begun as animosity between 2 seasoned rappers. Everyone began to wonder, did this kid just write a check he couldn't cash? After that first encounter, 50 Cent and the Harris family continued to be at odds. The situation worsened. Much, much worse. When the Harris family's Ty and Sons Damanian King released a number of diss tracks directed at 50 in February, the highly publicized back and forth between the 2 rappers took over timelines. This was no longer merely a dispute on social media. This was a coordinated musical assault. T came out swinging with ferocity that reminded people why he was once the undisputed king of the South. As of March 2026, T.Y. has released 4 diss tracks targeting 50 Cent: One War, The Right One, Lessons, and What Bully. Each one escalated the tension further. Rap critics acknowledged that Lessons was one of his strongest performances in years. Tip sounding genuinely reinvigorated, but T.I. wasn't the only one loading up the ammunition. His son moved up directly next him. On Friday, March 6th, King Harris unleashed a new song called Drop Top, a savage diss tune aimed specifically at 50 Cent. The track was merciless, with King hitting 50's mother and family legacy without hesitation. By releasing a video for the diss track in which he intensified his provocations, music, and even showcased merchandise making fun of 50 Cent's late mother, Harris fueled the flames. Demani Harris, meanwhile, released an almost 4-minute diss track called Ms. Jackson, referencing the famous 2000 hit song of the same name by Outkast. The track addressed 50 Cent's late mother directly, which immediately sparked a massive debate in the culture. Reaction was split. Some praised the boldness, others felt it crossed the line. Demani also released another diss track titled PUY, referring to 50 as a cornball and an informant while bringing up 50's ex Daphne Joy, who had previously accused 50 of sexual abuse and rape. Claims 50 denied and responded to with a defamation lawsuit. The boldest and most controversial move, however, music belonged to King Harris. King responded by wearing a t-shirt bearing the image of 50 Cent's late mother, Sabrina Jackson, who passed away in an apartment fire when 50 was just 8 years old. The picture went viral on all platforms. The reaction was volcanic. Even others who had backed the Harris family during this dispute hesitated. Music. Even T hesitated. Conversely, the culture came together in intriguing ways. Aside from reposting a picture of Tiny, Music Beyoncé's mother, Tina Knowles, seemed to support the TI, indicating that powerful people in the industry were on the Harris side. DJ Academics established this as one of the key rivalries of 2026 by drawing direct parallels to the Drake vs. Kendrick Lamar feud. And throughout the entirety of music, this 50 Cent silent on the mic at least. 50 has yet to answer on a record and it looks like he won't be doing so anytime soon. But the social media trolling continued and rumors began swirling that 50 had something far more devastating up his sleeve. Tasha K alleged that 50 is now working on a documentary focused on alleged drugging, music, and assault accusations against Ty and Tiny. Unconfirmed, but if true, this would take the conflict to an entirely different battlefield. For 2 solid weeks, Nanda Harris family waged a musical and social media war against one of the most powerful figures in hip-hop. And King Harris was right there on the front lines. But Father T, I started to see the cracks forming. T is a variety of things. A father of 6, a reality TV star, a businessman, a Grammy-winning rapper, and a convicted felon who turned his life around. And as the 50 Cent beef got out of hand, it was that final role father that started to get to him. During a sit-down with the Air Bro Laura Rosenberg show, the Atlanta rapper reiterated that he didn't need a beef with 50 to boost awareness for his hit single Let Him Know. Cutting his dreadlocks and returning to his classic fade did all that. The song was already a massive success. The song part of T.I.'s retirement album Kill the King. We is currently #1 at Urban Radio and on several charts from Instagram to Billboard. He didn't need this smoke, but he took it on anyway because the alternative, letting someone disrespect his wife on the internet, was unacceptable. But when asked if he enjoyed Sons King and Demani getting involved in the feud with their own diss tracks, Tip replied that he didn't. 0. He didn't want his sons anywhere near this battle. And when the interviewer pressed him on when he felt things crossed a line, T didn't hesitate. He pointed directly at the video of King wearing a shirt with 50's deceased mother on it. That was the moment he knew it had gone too far. I said that's enough when I seen that t-shirt, the Atlanta rapper remarked. I'm big on treating people the way I want to be treated, he concluded. But his sons pushed back, arguing it was in response to what 50 did to their mother. T.I. explained further on the emotional toll this had placed on him as a father. I spent so much time trying to pull this Luna off the cliff, he remarked, alluding to King. The worry was evident that this battle was undermining years of teaching, years of attempting to direct his son toward a better path. T.I. had spent huge energy trying to keep King grounded, attempting to prevent him from falling into the pitfalls that he himself had fallen into as a young man. Music. And now this battle was providing King a valid opportunity to unleash everything T had been music trying to restrain. But even in that concern, there was pride. T confessed he was happy of how both sons protected their mother. The one thing that I am pleased of this is that the ladies and children in our family know that it's a line of males that's here against who the FK ever. He stated music that confusing mix of anxiety and pride is the reality of motherhood, especially when your children are older and making decisions that you can't control. Speaking to TMZ, T.I. tried to put things in perspective. It's terribly unfortunate, but honestly, music, I wasn't here to defeat. I was here to defend, he said. That statement encapsulated his stance, not to defeat, but to defend. This battle wasn't started by him. He answered it. However, because the beef had made King Harris a target, the effects of that reaction were now more widespread than anyone had predicted. The internet would be rocked by what transpired next. This is where the plot takes an unexpected turn. After sparring with 50 Cent for weeks, releasing diss tracks, sporting controversial t-shirts, and making headlines for all the outrageous things a 21-year-old could do, King Harris turned to quiet music. Then a video appeared. Like a tidal wave of music, the claims began to flood social media. Fans browsing Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok in September 2025 may have come across startling rumors that King was hospitalized in Atlanta following a violent encounter. Although these rumors had previously surfaced, they returned with even greater vigor following the 50C beef. According to allegations, King was assaulted while incarcerated and required emergency brain surgery. Some posters even claimed that after King was admitted to Grady Memorial Hospital, masked individuals tampered with his life support. According to other accounts, his final words went viral and he was in a coma. The internet was in disarray. Fans were in a panic. Emojis of tears and prayers swamped the comment sections. Millions of people watched YouTube videos with AI voiceovers that purported to have the inside scoop on King Music Harris's demise. However, this is what intensified the emotional intensity of the incident. King's past. This young man has spent years in and out of trouble as a musician. In January 2023, he was arrested on 4 charges after he disobeyed the police's request for a blood test. Chim Music. He was caught again in October of 2024 when he pulled out in front of a police officer music and they discovered his car smelled of drugs. During that arrest, officers observed a pistol hosted on Harris's hip. Music. And upon checking his information, officers discovered Harris had an outstanding warrant for failure to appear in court. King's own statements after that release were telling. In a video published to Instagram, he declared, "I'm a free man." Music. I'm not locked up. I'm heterosexual. However, there was more to the tone than just bluster. This young man frequently found himself in circumstances that could have completely derailed his life. The family dynamic came next. As the son of one of Atlanta's most well-known rappers. Fans therefore perceived something different from King when the video that the title of this video alludes to emerged. The arrogance vanished. The strong talk was no longer music. They spotted a young man who seemed to be emotionally shattered, leaving what seemed to be his final statement to the world. And it brought people to tears. However, admirers who had been berating him for months suddenly expressed concern for his welfare. There is more to this story than meets the eye, though, much as with anything involving King Harris and the internet. Music. This is the point at which we must calm down and examine this objectively. There is a trend on the internet. A famous musician goes into problems. Rumors begin to circulate. These rumors are amplified by AI-generated material. And the story has taken on a life of its own before anyone can confirm anything. This cycle tune has caught King Harris several times. The details don't add up, despite the fantastic rumors. There are contradictory statements about music. Some claim King was admitted to the hospital. More extreme versions claim he died, while some maintain he never was. Oh, music. You can know something when there are 3 entirely different versions of a tale and none of them come from reliable sources. A large number of the music posts that are propagating the tale are from profiles that have no connection to reliable reporting. PopTalks22, a TikTok page, shared a collage of images and a movie with an AI voiceover, However, there are no reliable sources to support the assertion. These outrageous allegations and poor AI voiceovers have been put on TikTok after TikTok, yet there are no credible sources or reporting. This is the current state of the internet. By taking advantage of people's interest for public figures, content farms create engagement. Their credibility was further damaged by the steady blowing prose show's citation of insider sources who completely refuted the assertions. And possibly the strongest proof that the most extreme assertions are untrue. Days before these allegations began to circulate, King was active on Instagram, sharing videos. There are no reliable reports indicating that he was incarcerated following his arrest in October 2024, nor are there any reliable information indicating that he was incarcerated at the time of the rumors. The story of him being attacked while incarcerated, having brain surgery, and being on life support seems to be made-up stuff meant to get views and clicks. However, this does not imply that all is well. The emotional toll that this entire time has placed on King Harris is what is genuine. The 50C beef was authentic. The diss tracks were authentic. The t-shirt was authentic. There was a real pushback. Additionally, the apparent contemplation that followed was genuine. King sent a direct message and an olive branch to Mars Jackson, the son of 50 Cent, via Instagram stories. King wrote, "What I said was out of emotion and ain't have to be said." He admitted that the conflict between their fathers had nothing to do with Mares. "I was mistaken as a man," he acknowledged. "Let's chop it up," he continued, advocating for a private discussion over further public conflict. King's most recent message calls for introspection. Furthermore, a 21-year-old publicly acknowledging he was mistaken carries weight in hip-hop, where pride frequently feeds protracted confrontation. It implies development. It implies that he could be starting to understand what his father has been attempting to teach him. The film that has been dubbed King Harris's disturbing last video on the internet is a part of a bigger trend. A young guy juggling inner demons, familial loyalty, celebrity, and a highly visible confrontation with one of the most influential. In actuality, King Harris is still alive. He doesn't have life support. He's not unconscious. However, the video that came to light revealed a previously unknown aspect of him. Weary, vulnerable, and seemingly at a turning point. And that's what caused people to cry. Music. Not the fake rumors, not the clickbait produced by AI, but the real picture of a young man who appears to have experienced something and is attempting to figure out what his musical future holds. A warning sign is when articles exclusively surface on unreliable social media sites rather than through reputable media. In King's case, the most severe versions of the narrative appear to be untrue because there is no proof from reliable sources, his family, official spokespeople, or music. However, it's important to focus on the story's emotional core, a young man under tremendous pressure who left a message that rocked his admirers. T.I.'s son is King Harris. He was raised in the spotlight as a musician. During significant periods of King's youth, he had a father who, by his own admission, wasn't actually there at the time because he was in and out of prison. He was taught as a child that he had a silver spoon in his mouth and that he needed to demonstrate that he was as resilient as the streets from where his father had come. At age 20, he became a parent. He was arrested several times. To protect his mother's honor, he got into a fight with a millionaire businessman. Now, the internet is either making fun of him based on fake content or lamenting him based on untrue reports. Music. King needs time away from the hubbub, just like any other 21-year-old in his situation. It's time to become a father. It's time for him to discover who he is apart from music, his parents' shadow, and unhelpful beefs. Whether that unsettling video was a plea for assistance, a genuine vulnerable moment, music, or simply the internet turning another everyday occurrence into a sensationalized story, King Harris is undoubtedly at a pivotal moment. And what transpires next will determine whether this musical chapter of his life serves as a warning or a tale of redemption. However, this is King Harris's life, and it's not at all